Aquarium for having us here today, and I want to thank them for all the important work that they do with the Great Lakes and with the tourists that come through Chicago and educating our students as well. As we can see, the weather here today in Chicagoland is starting to feel a lot more like spring, and that means that summer is right around the corner, and that means that we're going to have a lot more tourists and citizens of Illinois coming to the Great Lakes and going to be using the facilities along the lakeshore, are going to be using boats, and they're going to be using this for a tremendous amount of recreation. So literally hundreds of thousands of citizens and tourists will be coming to use the Great Lakes that are right behind me. Central to the folks enjoying their recreational benefits offered by the waters of Lake Michigan is their safety. And we do this first by ensuring that our local responders have access to the best resources available in the event that they should have to respond to a water emergency. This is why I, along with Senator Kirk, were deeply troubled to see that the administration's fiscal 2013 budget recommended that 2 Coast Guard seasonal air facilities should be closed. One of those is based in Waukegan. In 2010, then Congressman Kirk successfully staved off and defeated an effort by the administration and was able to retrofit Waukegan's helicopters. Reallocating all summer Coast Guard air operations on Lake Michigan to the air station in Traverse City as proposed will greatly increase response times and will dramatically increase the possibility of lives being endangered. Now, as you can see right here, from where we are in Waukegan, where the air station is, the opportunity for us to be able to respond to a potential emergency is somewhere between 6 and 12 minutes. If going up to the proposed air station in Traverse City to get down to Oak Street Beach is over 220 miles, would be well over an hour. This is an enormous problem. So Traverse City, over 200 miles away, even using the new and faster equipment, would still require nearly an hour at the maximum speed, assuming perfect flight conditions, just to reach our shores. This compromises the Coast Guard's ability to execute land and water-based search and rescue operations, and I would argue is completely unacceptable. According to U.S. Search and Rescue Response Force, individuals lose consciousness in waters of 40 to 50 degrees after 30 to 60 minutes, and an expected survival time of 1 to 3 hours. When minutes count, we should not be relying on valuable air support from across Lake Michigan. Last summer, the Coast Guard Air Wing based in Waukegan played a critical role in aiding local first responders, including the village of Wilmette's Fire Department and Coast Guard. Joining us here today is Jim Dominic, who will speak more about his involvement with the Waukegan Air Wing and why it's vitally important to our region. Recently, we have seen a trend in families staying at home, or certainly closer to home, for vacations. And more people are using our beaches, whether it be up in Illinois State Beach in Zion, Gilson Park in Wilmette, or the shores here along Chicago. Increasing flight times and reducing the number of available helicopters to just 3 will not make our people safer. I recognize that we need to tighten our belt. There's no question about that, but I do believe that there's still room for us to fund our priorities. And certainly the safety of those that are enjoying the southern shores of Lake Michigan should be one of those priorities. Under the proposal outlined in the 2013 budget request, the 2 Coast Guard seasonal facilities in Waukegan and Muskegon would be closed. Their recently retrofitted helicopters retired, and all of the operational authority for the Coast Guard would be transferred to the air station in Traverse City. And this all while reducing the number of helicopters there to simply 3. Only 3 helicopters to cover all of the coastline. And you can just take a look at the coastline. It's a pretty extensive coastline, and it's on both sides. We want to make sure that those that are using our shores, those that are out using recreational boats and are out there swimming on our shores, have the safety of air support from the Coast Guard when and if ever needed. I'm pleased to join Senator Kirk in sending a letter to the Commandant of the Coast Guard urging that we keep the station open in Waukegan. It will undoubtedly jeopardize those that use our shores if it is moved to Traverse City. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Jim Dominic, who's the chief in Wilmette, for some comments about what's going on.
Good morning. My name is Jim Dominic. I am the fire chief of the Wilmette Fire Department. We are home of Gilson Park and Wilmette Harbor. Thank you, Congressman Dold, for asking me to discuss the impact of the U.S. Coast Guard Air Wing has had on our operations. Based on my 27 years of experience in Wilmette and working with all the lakefront jurisdictions, I can say unequivocally the United States Coast Guard is our partner in preserving life safety and security along the shores. Each year, hundreds of thousands of beachgoers and boaters use our wonderful resource. Unfortunately, each year the partnership between the local fire departments and the U.S. Coast Guard is called upon to rescue a swimmer or boater in distress. In many of these cases, the Village of Wilmette and other fire departments have called upon the U.S. Coast Guard Air Wing for support. Without the quick response of the Coast Guard helicopter, critical time will be lost in the rescue operation. That time could be the difference between life and death. Let me provide you with a recent example. Last summer, the Coast Guard helicopter provided 3 hours of search and rescue support, aiding 65 members from area fire departments searching for a missing swimmer in Evanston. In my opinion, and I trust my fire safety colleagues would agree, based on our shared experience, the proposed relocation of the Coast Guard helicopter to the Michigan side of the lake would add to the response time and would place beachgoers and boat owners in unnecessary danger. On behalf of the fire departments of Illinois' lakefront, thank you, Congressman Dold, for all your efforts to maintain the Coast Guard Air Wing based in Waukegan. Thank you.
Congressman, thank you. I'm Duncan Henderson. I'm the director of the Waukegan Port District. We operate Waukegan Harbor and the Waukegan Recreational Marina, as well as the Waukegan Airport. This is a matter very, very dear to our heart, and within recent years, the response of the helicopter based in Waukegan Airport has saved 5 people's lives. There was a charter fishing boat that left Waukegan, went into a really rapid storm, and those people would have died if it was not for the response of this particular helicopter. At Waukegan Marina, we have about 1,000 of the approximately 7,000 recreational slips in this area, and this particular response of the helicopter is vital. Also at Waukegan Airport, where the helicopter is based for this area during the summer months, we consider them an integral part of the federal security for our airport, which we consider vital to the Chicago area. Congressman, from the Waukegan Port District, we thank you very much for your efforts in this important matter.
Thank you. Congressman, thank you very much for calling this meeting today to share with the whole Illinois community the need to keep the United States Coast Guard Air and Sea Rescue available to the Illinois citizens. This area has 63 miles of Illinois shoreline. It is used by countless people throughout the summer and even during the winter. There are numerous opportunities where the air rescue and the ships go out and aid in keep citizens all along the shoreline safe. And I can speak for myself that on the night of July 3rd, 1983, my daughter was lost off of the lakeshore in the Glencoe area and was found the following morning by the United States Coast Guard Air Rescue Unit, then based at Glenview Naval Station, and she was found alive. And it was because of the assistance of Civil Air Patrol and the United States Coast Guard that I now have 3 grandsons today. But there are other people that have been rescued by them, and we are ever so grateful for the work that they do, and we definitely need their presence on the Illinois shoreline. It is way too long to come from Cleveland or Traverse City to get to the Illinois shoreline. Lake Michigan doesn't hold you long enough. The hypothermia sets in. Thank you, Congressman.
Well, I just want to thank you again for coming. Obviously, this is an issue that's near and dear to our heart, one that I think is vital to the protection of the citizens, certainly of Illinois. We want to make sure that those that find themselves in trouble, not only are they going to be able to get first responders that will be able to be there, but we want to make sure the Coast Guard can aid those first responders and take what may be 6 to 8 minutes as opposed to well over an hour.